A mysterious priest-king appears suddenly in Genesis 14, blesses Abraham, and then disappears without explanation. The Bible calls him the priest of God Most High, and the king of Salem, a title meaning king of peace. But where did he come from? And why does the book of Hebrews say he was without father, without mother, without genealogy? Many ancient Jewish traditions, and some early Christian scholars, identified Melchizedek as Shem, the firstborn son of Noah. Could this be true? Let's dive deep into the mystery of Melchizedek and uncover the hidden truths behind this fascinating figure. The biblical account of Melchizedek. Melchizedek is first mentioned in Genesis 14 verses 18 to 20 when Abraham returns from battle after rescuing his nephew Lot. Out of nowhere, Melchizedek appears, bringing bread and wine, blessing Abraham, and receiving a tithe from him. And Melchizedek king of Salem brought forth bread and wine, and he was the priest of the Most High God. And he blessed him, and said, Blessed be Abram of the Most High God, possessor of heaven and earth. Genesis 14 verses 18 to 19. After this brief encounter, Melchizedek disappears from the biblical narrative, never mentioned again until Psalm 110 verse 4 and later in the New Testament. But here's the mystery. Who was this Melchizedek? Was he just a random priest-king? Or was he someone far more significant? Was Melchizedek actually Shem? One of the most fascinating theories, backed by ancient Jewish traditions, is that Melchizedek was actually Shem, the firstborn son of Noah. This idea is not just speculation. Let's look at the biblical timeline. Genesis 11 verses 10 to 26 traces Shem's descendants all the way to Abraham. Using these genealogies, we can calculate that Shem was still alive during Abraham's lifetime, and actually outlived him by 35 years. Shem lived 600 years, Genesis 11 verses 10 to 11, and was 390 years old when Abraham was born. Since Abraham lived 175 years, that means Shem was still alive 35 years after Abraham's death. This means it's entirely possible that Shem and Abraham met in person. And if Shem was the rightful priestly heir of Noah's blessing, it would make sense that Abraham would offer tithes to him. The ancient Jewish Targums, Aramaic paraphrases of the Old Testament, support this idea, often identifying Melchizedek as Shem, who was ruling as the king of Salem, Jerusalem. Why does this matter? The priestly connection. If Melchizedek was actually Shem, this changes everything about how we understand the priesthood in the Bible. Genesis 9 verse 26 tells us that Noah blessed Shem, giving him the role of carrying on God's covenant. Genesis 14 verse 19 tells us that Melchizedek blessed Abraham, a passing of the priesthood from Shem's lineage to Abraham's. This family priesthood continues from Abraham to Isaac to Jacob, and eventually to Jesus Christ, the ultimate high priest after the order of Melchizedek, Psalm 110 verse 4, Hebrews 7 verse 17. In short, Melchizedek's priesthood is different from the Levitical priesthood. It was a priesthood that existed before the law of Moses, one based on faith and divine blessing, rather than lineage alone. But what about Hebrews 7 verse 3? Without father or mother. Some argue that Melchizedek couldn't be Shem because Hebrews 7 verse 3 describes him as without father, without mother, without genealogy, having neither beginning of days nor end of life, but made like the Son of God, he remains a priest forever. Doesn't this mean Melchizedek was some kind of eternal, spiritual being? Not necessarily. When we read Hebrews through the eyes of a first-century Jewish audience, the meaning becomes clear. Levitical priests had to prove their genealogy for at least 10 generations in the book of Ezra chapter 2 verse 62 and Nehemiah chapter 7 verse 64. Melchizedek, on the other hand, was a priest by divine appointment, without any genealogy requirements. His priesthood didn't depend on Levitical lineage, which is why the book of Hebrews contrasts the two. Unlike the Levites, who retired at age 50, Melchizedek's priesthood continued indefinitely. Thus, Hebrews 7 verse 3 is not saying Melchizedek had no literal parents or never died. It's saying his priesthood was outside the rules of the Levitical system. What this means for Christians today. The order of Melchizedek is a mystery deeply tied to Jesus Christ. Jesus is called a priest forever after the order of Melchizedek, Hebrews 7 verse 17. His priesthood is not based on human ancestry but on divine appointment. The connection between Shem, Melchizedek, Abraham, and Jesus shows us that God's plan for salvation was unfolding long before Moses and the law. The family priesthood passed down from Noah to Shem to Abraham eventually leads to Christ, the ultimate high priest who offers eternal salvation. So, what do you think? Was Melchizedek really Shem? Or was he someone else entirely? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Let's discuss this incredible biblical mystery. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more deep Bible teachings.